Okay, we're going to try and finish up this canvas today. So we'll be painting water and a few other little tips that I can give you. If you'll notice, I painted the big tree in, and it was painted just like this with burnt umber and black. I was trying to save us a little bit of time. There's a couple of trees that I put in back here also before I did the big tree. They also are burnt umber black, but they have a little of your sky mixture to them. So they're a little bit darker than the ones that are in the background, but not as dark as what we have in the foreground. Now I want to show you how you can push back your painting. And I'm going to just take, this is called a dome brush, okay? And what I'm going to do is pick up a little bit of white, just a small amount, I don't need much. Touch of my blue, this is blue chiffon that I'm using, and just a speck, I mean hardly any of the orange, cat orange. Okay, so you probably can't even see that I'm mixing a color there, but it's very, very pale blue. Then I'm going to take the brush on the paper towel and I'm going to wipe, kind of in a circular motion, to wipe most of that paint out of my brush. Okay? Now, once I've wiped most of the brush out, paint out, I can go back here in this background. Now, you want to do this before you put this big tree on. Okay? I went ahead and did this a little bit. And you just go right over everything. I like to kind of go in a circular motion. And that pushes my background at least a mile back in that photo, in this painting. So this is just adding some atmosphere between the viewer and the canvas. Okay? So it pushes everything back in the background. All right, and you can do that as much as you need to do, you want to do it. And you can go right along into this background back here to push everything back farther in the painting and give us more dimension and more distance in the painting. Okay, so that was white, blue, a teeny, teeny, tiny touch of orange, and you could leave that out. And then dry brush over that background. All right, the other thing that I did is I just kind of based in where I thought I wanted my water in the bank and so forth. So we can just go right ahead and paint water today. You're going to need a fan brush, a flat brush. If you have a really old fan brush like mine that's about used up, that's great. And then a flat and something just to pull your water today, okay? Now the water's clear and it can have any color that's in our sky or in our background trees. If we've had bushes in here, we could, pull that color down in the water. So I'm going to start with a small flat back here in the background because I don't want that too dark yet. But I'm going to pick up plantation pine and evergreen and burnt umber. Whoops, I don't have my burnt umber out. Just a minute. Let me find what I did with it. I thought I had it right here. Here we go. I have these little baskets sitting around with different colors in them from projects that we're doing. So this one up here that I'm jiggling that you can see is for my Wednesday class. I have another one sitting on another table that has paint in it that's for a new project that I'm doing. So, I have them sitting all around and sometimes I get them mixed up. Okay, so I picked up some green, some brown in my brush, and I'm going to pull short downward strokes in this water. We have quite a bit of water, and I'm going to be talking to you, and I think what I'm going to do is take some extender and just apply a extender up here down to where I want the water to be coming over some rocks or whatever. Well, that's different. Did you notice that? My brush came right apart. A little bit of glue's needed there. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to put a little bit of extender on here so it will be easier to blend our water. Now don't get too much. If you do, blot it. All right, so now I'm going to start back here and I'm going to pull. This is way in the background, so I can't do much back here. But I got to have some dark along that bank there. And I have to have some, you could put some blues in there too. Okay, so I'm going to pull straight down and I'm lifting my brush so that the bottom of the stroke feathers off. Okay, in other words, I'm not stopping short all in one place. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing there. I'm picking up a little bit of ultra blue with some plantation pine. I'm going to pull that down. I'm going to pick up ultra blue deep in my brush and maybe a little bit of my background color for another pretty blue, and I'll pull that down. I'm working the colors together a little bit, and like I said, as I come down, I lift the brush so that the bottom of these gets feathered off. You don't want to come down and stop short and have a hard line. That would be really hard to blend away. So as you come forward, you can get a little darker under those banks. Any color that you have in your sky or along the bank with trees and so forth can be used in the water. So even a little black and brown there. Okay, so I'm going to come on down and I'm just pulling straight down. Just a combination of dark colors. Okay. Now you notice how they're uneven, kind of like when we do the trees back here. I said short and okay. Now I'm going to clean my brush out and I'm going to take white in my background color and I'm going to thin it down with a little bit of extender or water. Not both. Okay, and as I come down, I'm pulling straight down. You probably even can't even see that, but I'm letting the white get up into my dark. Hold your brush up and just flick it like that. Fill that in. I'm going to put a little more blue in my brush. Come back here. Get a little bit of that in there along that bank. All right, now I have my water set in. I'm going to take my fan brush, hold it up on the tip, no water, nothing in the brush. It's just a dry brush. And I'm going to go wiggle, 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 all the way down. Okay, little short wiggles, not this big sweepy stuff. Okay, just little short wiggles. And zoom, my water's moving. Can't have a waterfall without our water moving. And there's our water. And I know that's probably going to be hard to see. I'm going to flip this light off and see if that makes any difference. If you can see it just a little bit bigger. So it's wiggle, 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 wiggle. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. And you are blending those colors together. Okay? Something like that. Okay? So now we have water. We have motion in our movement in our water. Okay? And then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to paint this area. So I'll apply a little extender down here. That really does help make this move. And I think you'll be able to see this down here because I went it a little darker than what that is up there. So I'm going to pick up, this is Ultra Blue Deep. I may pick up a little brown or black with it. And I'm going to pull underneath these banks straight down. Don't go at a slant, go straight down. Down all the way on this corner over here. Remember, you want to lift the brush. Now, I know I don't have leaves on my tree yet, but I know I'm going to have, so I'm putting green down here as well. Okay. Now, I want it kind of dark there under that fall. So some black and burnt umber works well. I want that corner down too. Okay, I think that's probably all we needed that. I'll clean the brush, pick up white and some of my background color. Let's pick up just background color almost. Okay, and then I'm gonna catch in. See that? I'm catching into what I've already laid in there. If I pick up too much color, I'll wipe my brush and continue. Okay, now I've got all those colors laid in. And they look a little strange at this point. But now take your brush up on the chisel, wiggle, 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 wiggle. Okay, and we're making some movement in our water. If you do this too much, if you try to blend too much, you're going to lose all this pretty color that you've put in, and the water's going to leave like a stagnant pond. So we don't want that. We want it to move. If we have water coming over, rushing over rocks and so forth, the water's moving. So we want to make sure that we have that look to it. Okay, and I want it darker than what the whole painting probably will end up to be. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Okay, now it looks messy. It is messy, and that's okay. We're not done with it. This is just the first process. Okay, moving your brush horizontally when you do the blending. All right, now we're going to let that set for just a second, and I'm going to go up here to my water that I did up here, and I'm going to add just a touch of yellow and white mixed together back here because we have sunshine right there. I'm going to have a little more yellow in it, I think. There we go. Sunshine is yellow, not white. Snow is white. No, it isn't either. It's blue. Sorry about that. Okay, light touch when you've got a lot of paint on here and you're trying to blend it. Now, I know you can't see that. I'm going to pick up more yellow so you can see it, but please don't you put this much yellow in it, okay? I laid the yellow in there. Every color that you lay in your water, you lay in vertically, okay? And then you blend horizontally. Okay, lay color in vertically, blend horizontally. Okay, so now we have that. We also had some purple in our sky, and we can add that. That was black and alizarin crimson in some sky color, some of your blue, and that made us a purple. Okay, I'm going to get just a touch more red in it. Okay, well, too much. We'll put a little more blue in it. Oh, there we have kind of a purple color. Okay, so let's lay a little of that purple in our water. You can always go back and add a little bit more color or okay, we could get a little bit down in here. I just love adding purple to things. I guess it's my age. Is it when I'm old I can wear purple? That's me. Okay, so you're laying in the purple to make some more here. Okay, so I like that color in there. All right, I'll wipe the paint out of my brush. And I can blend with this brush, but I think you'll have more success if you haven't done this before to do it with your fan brush. You barely have to touch it, just enough to move the paint, not enough to do a blending job where you don't have any color left and it's all one color. Okay, down here, blend across. Just say to yourself, wiggle, 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 wiggle. That's okay. A little purple over here. Okay. And of course we had up here. Now, that's maybe more than I want right there because it's just like a stripe. So if I see that I've done that, I'll pick up something else like blue. My blue background color would be pretty to just put a little bit of that in there. And then blend horizontally. Okay. Now I think about where my water's going to come over that I would like to have more blue in that. So I'm going to pick up background color and ultra blue deep, and I'm going to put a little more blue right in here. They will make the paint that I'm going to put on there for the water show up a little bit. So I'm going to lay it in, and then I'm going to blend it. And I'm going to keep blending and bring some more on up higher. But we're going to have white right along there where the water's rushing over. So I think that'll look better. Make our white show up a little bit better. Okay, so there's our water. Now, we can put water lines on this later. We can add color to it later if we need to. But basically, that's what you do. You lay your colors in vertically and you blend horizontally. Okay? So, let's pull some water over this area right here where there's rocks or whatever. I'm going to pick up, and I'm going to go back to my fan brush, and I'm going to pick up white in ultra blue deep, and I'm going to make me a medium shade of blue. Now, you notice I'm loading the corner of the brush. You can load both sides, that's okay, but not the whole brush. Okay. And I'm going to lean on that corner, and I'm going to pull. Start up here above in that blue area, and just let that brush skim over the rocks there. Now the water falls by gravity, so you want to pull down like that. At the bottom, I'm going to put some splashes with the corner of my fan brush. This is still a little blue and white. And I can take my brush, my fan brush, and I can blend some of that down into the water that I made there. If you want to, the neat thing about this is like making weeds. Okay, the paint's on the top, I'm on the corner, and I'm pushing off. And I'm getting these little frothy water that's falling over here. And I can have some of those out here in the water, like that. And I can blend under them. Actually, they would have some dark under them usually. Just barely creep across them. You know, here's your water. It's coming on down the stream. We don't know where it's going, but it's going down the stream. Now, once I have that on there, I will go back and pick up just white. I just wiped the paint out of my brush. Pick up white. Okay, and I'm going to pick up on that one corner again. Okay, and then I'm going to pull lightly some white over here. letting that blue show through that we put on before. Okay, and then some brighter foam on top of the blue that we put in. Okay, and then it can come down too also. And if I stroke that in there, I'll just blend it in. Okay, so now we have water coming over. Now, I like to load my brush, take the brush, put it on the chisel, and tap. Because when water comes over these, and it's falling fast, this must be early spring, it has a tendency to sheet if it's moving really fast. It doesn't just come over like that in a nice little stream sometimes. It's really fast and it kind of sheets off the top. So I'm going to leave that like that. Then I'm going to pick up my flat brush again. And I got to make this look like this white water was coming out over our falls. We can't go blue-white all of a sudden. So I'm going to take my brush with white up on the chisel, and I'm going to pull it down into what I have there. So it's back here. Here's my white. I'm trying to make this bright enough you can see it. And then down into, coming over that little rocks or whatever we have there, a little bank, whatever. Okay, and then I'll put some water lines back here coming into that area where the falls is. Okay. Now when you apply shading, you apply it with thin paint. But when you apply highlights,